everybody, I'm Bilbaman, and today I'm going to be doing a run of agentless Vinerva. Now, I've been doing stuff like this for a while, but I thought I'd go ahead and record a full run so that people can see what my thought process is, and just generally get an idea of how you would go about this sort of thing. Now, I'm assuming most of the people watching have at least basic knowledge about the game. Other people have done more in-depth tutorial type stuff, so I'm not going to be getting into a lot of the basic mechanics. For the starting settings, I'm just going to generate a random world on harder difficulty. I'm going to turn on shuffle random seed, and aside from that, I'm just going to keep the default settings since I'm playing agentless. So, getting in here, just going to turn off hints and take a quick look around the world to get an idea of what we're dealing with. Oh, this is an interesting world. So we've got a big ocean channel with a lot of very small, narrow nations up north, and then your classic very large nation in a central continent type of situation down here. So, one thing that's obvious about playing agentless is stuff like orcs, covens, and the like that would involve infiltration to take advantage of can't be used at all. This also applies to deep ones, so deep ones are basically irrelevant except as a distraction. The general premise of how we're going to go about winning this way is we need to build up a bunch of Vinerva's gift in enough locations so that we'll be able to manifest when we unlock that power, and that will generate basically the majority of the points that we're going to use to hit 100% victory. So, at the start of the game, the most important considerations are where to start placing Shadow, because we're not going to have very much influence over the whole world like you would normally. Because normally, you have agents. They can pick up seeds at your hearts, they can go to some far-flung corner of the world, place your heart down there, and you can spread yourself very efficiently that way, and avoid ever really having to avoid having to ever really stack enough menace that anyone burns down your hearts, because you don't actually need to use things like Black Forest or neurotoxins when you're playing normally. You can just play it low-key, let your agents do all the hard lifting, and if you lose a few agents, who cares? You're still able to influence the whole world with your powers and stack lots and lots of gift. Here we're going to have to play a lot more risky and play in a lot smaller of an area, but that's fine, because you don't actually need to influence the whole world to get enough points to win. So, a couple of starting considerations. One thing that is worth taking a look at is the different preferences of the rulers. So, for example, rulers who like cruelty are very important because they're more likely to take our gift of gold. An ironic thing about ruler preferences is that a preference for gold is actually not that good for tempting with Grove of Golden Roses as Vinerva, because even though it does boost their motivation by 20, it also boosts their motivation to tax their citizens. And since it boosts both things, the world panic going up or awareness causing them to dislike taking your gifts will mean that they'll end up wanting to tax more, just as if they didn't have a preference for gold at all. On the other hand, a preference for cruelty means that they will really want to take your gift, and they'll want to take it for distinct reasons from their reasons for wanting to tax. So that matters a fair amount. But another thing that's worth understanding with Vinerva, and this is relevant even when you're playing normally, is that ultimately you don't actually need a ruler to care about gold or cruelty or any of that, especially at the start. You just need to find a ruler who's not occupied doing something else. So, for example, this ruler is currently mustering defenses, and that'll go up by 25. So they'll basically be at full defenses after they finish this action. And once they finish that action, they don't actually have anything else to do. There's no unrest here, there's nothing like a plague distracting them, and they don't have any sorts of preferences that make them terribly likely to do other things. Though this ruler is no good for us because they dislike cruelty, which debuffs their motivation. But if we take a look around, we can find places like that. where there's very little going on and we'll be able to tempt in short order. So here there's a slight amount of unrest, which odds are they'll be able to clear that up. But you already have reserves, so you're not a great starting candidate. We're just looking for places that are not holy sites, notably, because we want to use Black Forest to enshadow the ruler, and the goal of that is to have enough shadow building up in 2 or 3 settlements so that we'll have a little pocket of shadow spreading, and if we place our enshadowment on a ruler of a holy site, heroes will just repeatedly come, cleanse all the shadow, and no significant shadow buildup or spread will happen from that location, so it's a waste of our time. So let's take a look at you. You like Discord, and you dislike Discord and disease. So you have a slight motivation to inoculate your population all the time. That's not necessarily a problem for us. Let's see. You dislike shadow, dislike cruelty and undead. You like cruelty and you like danger. Dislike shadow and discord. I think another thing I'm going to illustrate with this run is when you're playing with Vinerva, usually you want to avoid getting your hearts burned down, but in this case we can kind of abuse it a little bit. Because we want to get a lot of useful actions out of our hearts, and you can only enshadow about 2 rulers, or you can perform the Black Forest action about 2 times. It might be on the same ruler, but ideally you get to 100% with 1 use. And using it only 2 times gets you to about the threshold where the heart is at 30-something menace. It'll be exactly 30 at default difficulty, but I'm on a +3, so it's slightly higher. And that will mean that probably, if we look at the National Actions tab, like, they'll have all of these actions that are like +10, +20, appeasing their nobles, taxing their nobles, that sort of thing. And all of that will be higher motivation than burning down our heart, because our heart will be floating at about +3 once we've taken 2 actions. If we take more actions than that, we're going to want to do it all at once in a burst to rapidly spike the menace, because we've already accepted that heart will be burned down. But if we do that, we could get, say, like a cluster of like 4 or 5 enshadowed places and really get a head start, and that's often worth losing 1 heart in the early game. Anyway, that's enough preamble. So with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and place my heart here on this settlement, specifically because if this heart gets burned down, I want this ruler to die, because they're annoying and dislike cruelty, and that makes spreading my temptations harder. Another consideration is you want to always place your hearts on minor settlements. If you place your heart on a city and an order comes to raise the heart, this city will be fine. The army will just destroy the heart and the city will not be damaged. But in a minor settlement, raising a Heart of the Forest involves destroying the entire settlement. And when you perform that sort of action on a farm, that's providing a lot of food to nearby cities and the like, and that can cause starvation, which we like, of course, because Vinerva later unlocks the ability to tempt people with a grove of nectar, and the motivation to take that scales with hunger. So there's a couple of things going on there. So just for the start, you want to muster defenses and perform a brutal crackdown. So I don't particularly want to tempt you. You're going to go ahead and deal with the unrest, and the unrest is naturally going down for you, so I'm just going to go ahead and tempt you. Grove of Golden Roses. I think this place is another sensible location to tempt in the future. So now that we've gone ahead and done that first action, we're just going to skip through real quick. He's accepting our gift of gold. We don't care about orcish suppression. Their fate is sealed. So he's going to accept that twice, getting him quite nicely to 100% gift, which is the point where we can use Black Forest to bring him to full enshadowment, and he'll just enshadow this settlement to full over time. Actually, another consideration is I should figure out who the Chosen One is. this, and I'm going to go ahead and watch the Chosen One. A lot of the time, their actions aren't going to matter to us. They're going to be doing stuff like recruiting knights, dealing with orc upstarts, and none of that really matters to us. But if they are doing something like going to redeem a ruler or going to spread awareness, it's worth knowing where they're going to be doing that, because awareness especially limits our ability to tempt people. So, another couple of turns, and there we go. We unlock Black Forest, and we get another power, and now our power generation is actually not that terrible like it is at the start of the game. Just gonna go ahead and modifiers. Okay, so you dislike Discord, so you're gonna get rid of the Unrest. And I'm just going to go ahead and already tempt you. Even though you're not going to take it for a little bit, let's just get that running. And we'll go ahead and Black Forest here. So you're fully shadowed, and you'll start spreading shadow. And ideally, since we're going to shadow this place as well, this central settlement will naturally build up a lot of shadow since it has two places touching it, just like City of Dawns here will also quickly build up shadow, because when you're reliant on completely natural shadow spread and can't use any agent actions, the only real tool you have is having lots of adjacent settlements spreading the shadow over time. So we want to distribute our temptations in a way that we'll be getting shadow spreading from several different locations. And with that in mind, let's see. This is 1, 2, 3 steps away. We could also tempt you. Yes, that would actually be quite good. And I'm basically assuming that I'm going to see this heart get burned down. In terms of national actions, I can get away with 2 enchantments and chill, because this ruler's preference for danger means they're always going to be worsening their relationship with lots of different places before they get around to anything else. But going for a 3rd, 4th, and 5th enshadowment later on down the line will help a lot, because our natural shadow spread is just very, very bad when we're not able to use any agents. So, quickly go through here. Don't care about that. Reducing unrest, doesn't matter to us. Okay, so he's taken that once. And he's going to take it a 2nd time, and then we will quickly in-shadow him as well once he does that. So been established at the City of Dawns. That's unfortunate, but nothing we can do about it. Growth of Nectar is unlocked, which is quite good. If we see hunger in some place, it's worth putting down another Heart of the Forest in a location that will allow us to access that hunger. Actually, there's a lot of hungry places over here already. Let's see, I have a heart here, so 1, 2, 3 spaces away, or 3 spaces away, since this is a minor settlement, would allow me access to just this place. You're gonna take 6 turns cracking down. I think that's worth a shot. Yeah, and in 5 turns we'll gain another power. I'll go ahead and see. And if not, we'll just have another heart here as a backup, in case this, for when this gets destroyed. So you've established wards. I don't really care, I'll just look at places to see if they have wards. I don't need the game to tell me about it. Self-reflection is treacherous, so this is also very good. We like it when rulers and heroes gain shadow through events. Though, in this case, it's just a hero, so we don't necessarily care that much. So we're seeing a lot of random hunger spreading around, and that's going to be very good for us, because it allows us to tempt with nectar. Hunger is still rising here. I think I'll go ahead and, I think I'll go ahead and go for a few nectar temptations over here if I can. In places where the famine's rapidly going down, they won't complete their local action in time for the temptation to matter. But here hunger is still rising, and by the time they're finished reducing unrest, their most important motivation will be to deal with that hunger. So I'll just go ahead and place a grove of nectar here. A war has been declared, so you are at war with this nation. That's quite good for us. That's going to make a lot more hunger. The only possible issue is that sometimes settlements will get destroyed in the fighting, and if those settlements have our hearts, that's rather bad for us. But we'll see how that plays out. So you're going to accept our gift of nectar. Excellent. And now we have to wait a bunch more turns before anything will really happen. You are fully gifted, so we're going to go ahead and Black Forest you. So the shadow will start spreading. And that's got this heart at 38, so the national motivation to burn it down is not showing up yet. Interesting. Ah, because they are already at war. Well, that actually gives us a lot of leeway while the war is going on to basically enshadow as much as we want. So that's quite good. So, let's see. Quick look. Yes, so you've gone ahead and taken that. I don't know that we want to necessarily turn that into shadow yet, but we could consider it. Let's see. If we did turn it into shadow, let's see. Reducing unrest, dislike discord. It's not terrible, but there's where would we want to have another location with shadow? Maybe here? It's not totally ridiculous. Though it's unfortunate that the menace would stack on this heart. Either way, we can't really do anything yet. Alright, and there's another power and another seal broken. These powers are not really relevant to us at all. We don't care about affecting the military power of nations by reducing their prosperity with choking spores, and we don't really have any way whatsoever of creating a plague to begin with, so Grove of Leper Succor will never work. As well as there's an interesting quirk about Grove of Leper's Succor, where you can't even take advantage of rulers who dislike disease, because their natural fear of the unknown will mean they always prefer inoculating over taking your gift. So the only time you can ever really pull off that temptation anyway is in a settlement with extremely high immunity that also still has a plague going on, because the immunity level reduces the motivation to take the inoculation action, but it does not reduce the motivation to take the grove. In either case, it's irrelevant to us here. So this settlement is probably going to be destroyed in this fighting, depending on how long this battle goes on. A lot of devastation might build up. So I'm just going to wait and see what happens, because if this farm falls, it might lead to some hunger. See. Yes, so you're getting 44 food from this village. So if this village falls, this place is going to get very hungry very quickly. In the meantime, I think I will go ahead and tempt you. Self-reflection is treacherous. Well, that's fine. It's not super useful to us because this place is going to eventually be burned down, but in the short term, it helps us spread some shadow. Let's see. This place fell. We want heroes to prefer combat because there's not actually any place of ours that can be significantly injured. There's nothing of ours that is injured by that. All of the combat is just going to take the form of heroes fighting each other if they have grudges. This place is getting hungry again. could put another Heart of the Forest over there. Potentially. In 8 turns, we'll get another power. So putting a Heart of the Forest... 1, 2, 3... here would let us access these 2 places as they gain hunger. I think that's not a terrible plan. And both of these places will suffer some pretty significant hunger. Well, this one is actually doing fine without this village, but this place is going to suffer some pretty noticeable hunger. So as soon as I get some power, I'll place Temptation here. Don't care about funding outposts. So you're going to take a little bit to take this a second time, but the World Panic isn't going to get to you for a little bit yet, so that's good. And now we have another power. Hunger is still rising. You're almost done mustering defenses. Perfect time for Growth of Nectar. And we're just going to have to wait a fair bit before we can tempt again. So, this place is shadowing, this place is already shadowing as well. We're spreading shadow pretty slowly, but that's the nature of the game. We're just thinking about the long term, when eventually we'll have around 40 to 50 shadow, which is enough that by the time Panic rises, we'll be able to tempt some of these rulers here as well. Well, in the early game, we can just tempt more or less indiscriminately. Almost done. Brutal Crackdown, and Famine is still rising, so that's an easy Growth of Nectar. This seed is being very kind to me. A naturally existing war that leads to a lot of famines is just very, very good. We've unlocked Growth of the Dragon Flower. We don't really care about that power. And so yeah, you might take that after a little bit. So let's take a quick look at how our gift is distributed. So we've got a good chunk of gift down there. And if we wanted, we could just rapidly stack a ton of shadow here, but this nation would burn down our heart pretty quickly if we did that. Actually, this nation as well, because they're not currently at war anymore, so they actually are thinking about burning down our heart. They're just busy doing something else instead at the moment. So we can just chill for the moment. Care. Can't stop you from driving back the shadow. Okay, so you're aware. Let's take a quick look at how awareness is distributed here. Yeah, so when one character comes aware, it's usually because the Chosen One or a different hero has performed earned war in the world. So here, these places are aware, and we're not really going to be able to tempt them again. Which is worth noticing because Vinerva's gift is already at 125 here, so we don't actually want to bother with shadowing you and trying to tempt you again, because you're just less likely to take it because of awareness. So we're just going to sit on that gift and basically just wait until we unlock manifestation, and then the settlement is just dead and gives us 5 points. Aware or not aware. I think I might go ahead and shadow this place. Dislike shadow, but you aren't aware at all. And I think I can convince you to take a gift of gold. We don't care about the first daughter because we don't have any agents. This place has fallen to hunger. This place has fallen to hunger as well. This place has declining famine, and we don't have any power to tempt them anyway. This place has rising hunger at the moment, and hopefully we'll get power in time to tempt that, but if not, it's fine. Sealed. So let's eat. Hold on. Don't know where that is actually. That's one of these places. So you and you. And that's getting very close, but hopefully before panic hits higher than 15, he'll take this. And we're basically at the point where we need shadow in order to motivate people to take gold, because once the minus motivation from World Panic is higher than minus 15, that completely negates the benefit of the base motivation, which is 35, which is 15 higher than 20. So we're just basically forced to only place our temptations in places with shadow. That doesn't really apply to hunger, because hunger scales so rapidly that places will ignore the panic anyway, even when it gets relatively high, but it does dictate how we're going to be spreading our gifts now that things are a little less trivial for us. Though, here is where the preference for cruelty kicks in, because this ruler still wants to take our gift of gold because they like cruelty, and that doesn't boost their taxation motivation. And you are also cruel, so that's another decent spot to try to tempt. So this kingdom is at war with this other kingdom, so that's more war. Don't really have any way of exploiting that at the moment. Yeah, I think it's perfectly fine to just go ahead and drop this temptation here, because between the shadow and cruelty, eventually he'll get around to taking it. These places are starving. Maybe I should have thought about that first, because this place does not have our gift yet. And you're aware. That's not that big a deal for us. So you dislike disease. Population has been fed, so this is going up. And yeah, okay, so we aren't going to be able to tempt that, sadly. Should start getting in the habit of keeping a little bit of power in the bank for when that sort of thing happens. Okay. And yeah, okay, so you've fully taken the gift. And you've taken the gift and been fully enshadowed. And I think I'll just chill and see if hunger or anything like that develops somewhere around here. Another small kingdom declaring a war, which is pretty classic dogpiling behavior. When one nation is overloaded with wars, a lot of other nations will often join in on the fun while they're in a vulnerable position. I've unlocked neurotoxin and pheromones, which is nice. Actually, let's go ahead and take a look around to see if anyone hates Discord. There's usually, yeah, there's exactly one ruler who hates Discord pretty consistently. Unfortunately, that's not really relevant to us, because getting a heart out there is not worth the effort, but there's a fun little exploit you can do with Grove of Peace Lilies to rulers who hate Discord, because they have a massive base motivation to take it due to that hatred, and they'll often stack it like 3 times in short order if you give it to them when there's no unrest on their settlement, because it's not actually competing with anything like reduce unrest or brutal crackdown, because those actions only show up when there is unrest. But that's here nor there. We're doing fine anyway. And I think I'll go ahead and in-shadow you as well, actually. Well, It's a little tough, actually. It'd be very good for our shadow spread, but it would guarantee this gets burned down. So I think I can just chill for now. And we have a fair amount of power, so I'm going to start doing the move where you start tempting people who are already enshadowed in order to stack enough gift there that you'll be able to manifest later on. And why not here as well? Actually, no, I'll just hang up into 1 power. Oh, and you took our gift again. Presumably because hunger built up. So, taking Vinerva's gift of nectar twice gets you to quite a bit of gift. Let's see. And it's not quite... Let's see, it's not quite to the point where I can do anything silly with it. Because if I do neurotoxins, that'll consume 150 gift in order to make the place completely mad. And that's good, but it leaves it at 100, which means I'll need to attempt this place again to manifest there. So it's sort of a trade-off. Actually, this place is suffering a famine, and I think I can grow nectar there. Oh, because taking the gift of nectar here caused the food to rapidly increase. Oh, that's sort of a misplay on my part, unfortunate. So hunger is rising here again. It probably gets to the point where in 7 turns that'll be at a moderate amount of hunger. No, that's not going to reach anything notable. So at this point we're just... I think we do need to in-shadow you, actually, and bite the bullet there. Because you're not actually going to take enough gifts to allow a manifestation, so I may as well just go ahead and do that, get shadow running, and then this place is going to be burned down, but that's fine. Let's see, alright. Is there anything else fun we can do with this? Particular heart. I mean, you actually aren't going to take a ton of gift without my intervention anyway, so we'll go ahead and do that as well. And now this place is definitely going to get burnt down, but that is perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine by me. And we'll just go ahead and put down another Heart of the Forest real quick to replace that one. How about here? So that's still in range of all the stuff we care about. Down, but that's fine. And anything else we want to do? Considering creating insanity down here anyway, but this place doesn't have any shadows, so that makes it a little bit worse. Oh, hunger here is on the rise. And it'll presumably keep rising for long enough that this will work. Okay. So the city's been completed. That doesn't really affect us. This place is also experiencing hunger. And we have 4 turns. Okay, so yeah, I think I can go ahead and tap this place as well. Yes. Alright. So let's also just take a quick look to see if anyone is really seriously considering joining the Alliance. Because that does matter in that it really negatively affects Shadow. Okay, so you haven't been visited by the Chosen One at all. And neither have you. And neither of you, really. Okay, so the Alliance isn't going to form anywhere we care about, is what matters here. Let's actually take a quick look at what the Chosen One's even doing. Build Alliance. So your Build Alliance is pretty low motivation at the moment, which makes sense because our panic's not that high yet. So we'll just keep on keeping on, getting more power. Don't care about that death. You're going to warn the world of the city of Vendat. Well, that's unfortunate. So, affecting this place is going to be hard then, because that will gain awareness, but there's not really anything we can do there, so that's fine. You're in shadowing. It's also fine. We have another power. Any place with hunger? This place has some hunger. Is it still building? It is still building. It's going to be building for long enough. I think this is viable, so just go ahead and do this. Alright, so you're aware, and all of these people will also be slightly aware as a side effect. That's not that big of a problem for us. Hold on. And you're just a hero. Okay, that doesn't matter. And you're accepting our gift of nectar. Excellent. So just go ahead and run through a little bit more. So now you're trying to build the alliance, which puts a bit of a clock on us, but it's not that big of a problem yet. Let's see. Yeah, so even if you hit like full obsession, I don't think you'll form an alliance until later on when panic is higher, and ideally by that point we'll have established our gift thoroughly enough that it's not likely that we'll have any issues getting enough temptation and down to hit manifestation several times in the places that we care about. So all of this is fine. This is fine. Alright, so you're at 100. Huh. You're not currently taking anything much. You're not at enough shadow to really consider us seriously. I think we may as well place this down, though. And this. Because we need to hit 125 for a manifestation. Okay. And now, your motivation to form the alliance is still pretty negative, so that's good. Like, the fact that we have lots of shadowed places is actually quite handy, because it means they don't particularly like to form the alliance if they're worried about half of their nation just going rebel because they're already in shadowed. Famine here again, somehow. Let's see. Alright, you know what? I'm gonna do a bit of a fun play here. Go ahead and tempt you. And then we're also going to go ahead and use neurotoxins here and hope that we high roll a really good madness effect. Because if you take Gift of Nectar again, it's... let's see, hypochondria. Well, that's not really what we wanted, but it was worth a shot. Alright, so you're taking our gifts. And yeah, so here we're sort of getting to the point where it's mostly a waiting game. So he died, and it's been replaced with someone who likes gold, which is funny. But you're not enshadowed yet, so you're just going to tax normally until you get more enshadowed. And that's unfortunate, because you're not going to hit full shadow. But hopefully you'll hit enough that you'll take gift at least a couple times. Okay. And yeah, so I'm just going to start plopping down lots of random gifts. Let's see. Okay, that's fine. Doesn't help us terribly much. And go ahead and tempt another person. So you need one more gift in order to hit manifestation levels. Okay. And you'll hit like 50-ish, so hopefully that'll be enough that you'll end up taking this. So yeah, now it's just mostly an exercise in waiting. So you've taken that again. And we could take a shot at making you insane. But, that might be worth it. Let's see, we have a heart here with no menace, so yeah, you know what, let's go ahead and make this place go completely mad. And a low roll again. We wanted something like fascination or masochism that would have effects that we care about. And you took that again, which is funny. But yeah, you're gonna start going insane, and then hopefully that'll make things easier. So we've unlocked manifestation, which is the win condition here. And looking at the map, we've already got like a solid 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 places that can manifest. And we need 15 in order to just win the game flat out. 15 or so. Give or take a bit of insanity and shadow on various heroes and rulers. We'll probably be able to reach the threshold, though, because there are plenty of places that are slightly in shadow that'll eventually take our gifts with some prodding. And if we get lucky, we can get more places that have, like, say, hunger or whatever. You're at 40, 34. Oh, you are massively shattered. When did that happen? Oh, because you inherited this position. Oh, that's excellent. And you go ahead and put a temptation down here for you at some point. Take. Okay, excellent. And let's just take another look around. Alright, you're at 150, so you're already good. You're at 106, so you're going to need to take one more temptation. So there you go, and we'll just keep on doing that. So all these places are slightly aware now, but I don't think any of them have our temptations. No, okay. So that doesn't matter to us. And you like orcs and undead. That's a very vanilla and useless first madness effect, but plenty of time for him to keep going more and more insane. Okay. You're accepting our gift of gold. Excellent. Let's see, you could use another temptation. Good. And here we go. And you, another temptation. And you're in shadowing. I may as well put that on you. Because this will eventually beat it out once unrest is lower. And let's find another place. Contempt. Okay, so any of these, actually. Fate is sealed. Another one here. Take a while because unrest, but oh, hold on. Actually, world panic is at the point where that's getting in the way, but we'll see. If it's particularly close, we can always use a black forest in order to push it over the edge. Percent, 6%, 200%, 200%. Oh, you're at 70%, so go ahead and tempt you as well. Let's see, start out of their gold, that doesn't help us. More people in shadowing. Hero redeemed, doesn't matter. Okay, this beats taxes, that's the only thing that matters there. More people in shadowing. Go ahead and give them another temptation. Raise them both down. Okay. Their fate is sealed. Good. And there we are. Okay, so let's see. Actually, you. Yeah, you don't have any preferences that would get you there, unfortunately. But that's fine, we don't actually need that. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then a couple of places getting close. So we're very close to actually being able to win the game here. Oh, that's unfortunate. Your disliking disease is actually a real problem there. Okay, you will end up taking enough gifts of gold. I think I'm just going to go ahead and use pheromones here in a minute in order to force her to take it. Which is basically the only point of using pheromones, just like sort of tipping it over the edge. There we go. And you are at 200, so we don't care anymore. You're at 100, so here we go. Another temptation for you. You're also at 100, so we want to give you another temptation. Okay, and we have another power. All of these places are very much at the thresholds that we need them to be at. And then we can start taking a look at actually manifesting. So currently we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah, so basically we can win the game at this point. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Obviously, if you want, you can play with your food for longer, but this is very over. So we're at 49% victory. So, let's see. So we lose... So we gain 4 points for manifesting quantity and shadow ruler, so let's see. We're currently at 43, so we just basically need 10 more manifestations. Let's see. So yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, yeah. So yeah, the game is officially over. Don't care about that. Care anymore. And there we go. Sanity. Care about relationships and alliance building. The end does indeed approach. And that's a easy, agentless victory as Vinerva. Hope this was enlightening to some people. Hope it didn't get too boring towards the end when I didn't really have as much to say. But that should give you an idea of how I got a agentless victory with Vinerva, and should hopefully maybe illustrate to the devs that Manifestation is a little too strong. Anyway, I've been Bilboman. I'll see y'all later.